Three, two, one.
Good evening, everyone. Today we have with us Dr. Mamta Mohanty. She has been working as an IELTS trainer and has been in the education industry for the last 24 years. She has worked at various institutions like IIM Ahmedabad, RV College of Engineering, and various institutions in Bangalore.
Thank you very much, Dhruv, for the introduction, and very good evening to both of you here.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Hi, Saptaparna.
Hello.
How are you doing today? Doing good.
We are fine. Please tell us a bit about yourself. How are you actually? Today is about you.
I'm great. Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. What else do you want to know?
Okay, so we are actually working on a little project on Agatha Christie.
Yes.
So today's interview is going to be about her.
Okay. Let's
Okay.
let's go ahead. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So to begin with, how did you first get introduced to Agatha Christie's works?
I heard about Agatha Christie when in school, obviously, because some of my friends used to talk about, but then I didn't followed it so much. However, the detective part was really interesting. So being an Aquarian, like Aquarians are born detectives, so I was definitely interested in listening about her a little bit. So at in school, basically, I got introduced. Yeah.
I totally agree. I love her stories wherein the detective part comes in. Sorry. So moving on to the next question. What drew you towards her mysteries compared to other writers?
Um, See, the leading pair of Agatha Christie's all the characters, be it Poirot or be it like be it this Miss Marple, or there are two more characters actually, Tommy and Tuppence. Okay, not many people know about them. But so these are the three, four characters that Agatha Christie created. And uh, what drew me towards her mysteries compared to other writers, like Sherlock Holmes, is not a writer. Sherlock Holmes is a creation of which writer? Arthur Doyle.
Sir
Okay.
Arthur Conan Doyle,
Now,
yeah.
yes, yes, exactly. So the difference is that Doyle always uh, takes a back seat. We remember Sherlock, but forget Doyle in the whole process. Okay. Whereas in Christie's novels, we know that if Poirot is acting, or if Miss Marple is saying something, or is acting, or Tommy and Tuppence are there, means Agatha Christie is carving them, is working through them. So we remember the writer and the character parallelly. We know that Christie's brain is working through Poirot, all of her detective characters. So that is something very beautiful about her as compared to other writers, and that is why you see, because she operated, that is how the golden age of detective fiction happened. And she wrote around, say, 66 novels, 14 short stories, and her whole style, her creation, everything earned her the title of Queen of Crime and Queen of Mystery. So she is like, okay, I'll say that when we discuss more. Yeah. Mhm.
So, ma'am, which
Wow,
Yeah.
of
that was so
Go ahead, please.
insightful.
yeah. So, ma'am, which of her
Yeah, Dhruv, moving on to you.
which of her
Sorry.
detectives among Hercule Poirot or Miss Marple do you find more interesting, and why is the reason for that?
Ah,
Both are their finest kinds. Both are their own finest kinds, because Hercule Poirot is sophisticated, is very sophisticated. He's a Belgian officer, retired from the police department, where he played detective only, even in the police department. But he's more sophisticated, more refined, more intriguing, more disciplined, and very dexterous, very skilled in everything. So, he's very detailed in his observations as well, and he uses logic, design to find out who is the murderer. Okay, this is also one of the characteristics of Agatha Christie's novel, that um, where we were talking about Sherlock Holmes. So Sherlock Holmes, Doyle actually um connects dot to dot, point to point, whereas Christie's uh, sails us through uh, mystery threads, and we never forget that our fundamental question is, who is the murderer. This is something is common in both Poirot also and Miss Marple also. So Poirot, as I said, Poirot is very skilled, very refined. So he will give, he will see small, small details. How is somebody folding the handkerchief? How is somebody keeping the shelf, whether it's clean, whether it's disarranged, how is it? So, because okay, if I cover all of these things, there will be nothing to talk in the
Practically
coming
answered our main
minutes. So,
question.
I'll stick to this. Yeah, so Miss Marple, on the other hand, operates from a rustic setting, from a countryside setting, where she resides in an English village, and she derives inspiration to arrive at a conclusion who is the murderer from her daily observations of local people. So she looks simple. She looks very, maybe maybe sometimes not exactly unkept, but she's very shrewd and intelligent. She's simple outwardly, but she's very shrewd and intelligent inside. So Miss Marple operates from a rustic setting, from a countryside setting, whereas Poirot operates from a city setting. So given their backgrounds, given their settings, they're like this. One is extremely refined, and one is simple and yet shrewd and intelligent. So both have their um, personality types, but I like Poirot more because he brings in more charm and he brings in more variety. Yeah, because Miss Marple is like English, and Agatha Christie is also English, right? But Poirot is
Yeah.
somebody on who Agatha Christie has really worked on. And he was the first character that she created, because she was trying to copy Doyle, and because Doyle created Sherlock Holmes. And so this is how our Agatha Christie also created this first character, Hercule Poirot. Yeah, so that's that. Hmm. Go ahead.
So, well, you actually answered our next question, which was supposed to be Christie's, what was
I
Agatha
have
Christie's
more.
yeah, style of mystery writing. So I think we can move on to the next one. So which novel do
No, no,
you
no, I have more.
Oh, okay,
I have
okay.
more. I have more points. You can still ask me that.
Okay, okay, ma'am. So what makes Agatha Christie's style of mystery writing unique?
A lot of things. Okay, lot of things, lot of points. Um, that she keeps the conversations very general. You'll find, her characters using generic conversations, um, and also, her narrative techniques, and this is something that is very striking, and the way she brings in imagery and all of these things, your mind wonders. Like in the beginning, she will just, you know set the stage for us to imagine that, oh, this is the place, these are the things, this is how it is. It's very narrative. And I'll read out something. I had actually saved something for you people. There's a novel, and it's an extract from Towards Zero. And how does she start? I'll read out a small excerpt. It was an April
Sure.
day, such a usual, such as usually occurs at least once in a month, hotter than most of the June days to follow. Neville Strange was coming down the stairs. He was dressed in white flannels and held four tennis rackets under his arm. If a man could have been selected from amongst other Englishmen as an example of a lucky man with nothing to wish for, a selection committee might have chosen Neville Strange. He was a man well known to the British public, a first class tennis player. And she goes on, right? And she goes on. So her narration is so heavy of the characters, of the background, of the setting. In one sentence, she's telling us which month was it. It was April. How was it? Generally, as it was once in a month, hotter than most of the June days to follow. So she's giving us two, 3 points of information, right? So she's very deep in her narration. That is something that makes a reader, or if it is an adaptation in a video, that makes the audiences and the readers stick to her writing style, because she makes it very, she has a terrific flair for for clubbing the detective aspect, the investigative aspect, and the narrative and the aesthetic aspect that have to be gelled in the beauty that a novel would present to the readers. I think that makes it very catchy. Yes,
Okay.
that makes it very catchy.
Yeah.
That was deep indeed.
Mhm.
Now, our next question.
Yes.
So it's a bit about you. So, which novel by her is your personal favorite?
Actually, I watched almost all these series. I don't remember now because these days, and neither I nor do I watch all of these things. Long ago, like once I had watched the whole. But my personal favorite is Death on the Nile. There's a reason, because this was one case that Poirot found he was not prepared for solving this case. He was actually uh, on a holiday trip, on a
Okay.
cruise,
Yeah.
obviously, as the name reads, Death on the Nile. And while the ship went on cruise, this uh, so there was a lady on that cruise who just saw the name that, oh, Hercule Poirot is also coming, and she had a problem with her husband, and her friend, who was the previous lover of her husband. And so Poirot was on a holiday trip, and this lady meets up. And first, Hercule Poirot actually tries to convince the lover of that person. Simon is his name. Yeah, Simon. Simon. Yes, Simon Doyle. So Simon Doyle, and the other lady's name, that is the third party's name, was Jacqueline. So there are three characters. Okay, I'll just tell you. There is this Lynette, there is Jacqueline, and there is Simon. Okay, so Simon is currently the husband of Lynette, and Lynette is the heiress.
Yeah.
Okay, to a huge, big business empire. And this Simon's lover actually is, uh, and these two girls were friends. These two girls were friends, and somehow this lady Jacqueline introduces Simon to Lynette. Otherwise, Lynette was supposed to marry somebody else. But somehow she doesn't get married to that other guy, but she marries Simon, which leaves this Jacqueline freaking out. Okay. And then they devise a plan to kill this Lynette on cruise. And so, the story weaves around all of these things. So, obviously, as as does the plot in most of her novels, Agatha Christie's novels, we don't know what's going on. Okay, there are different people approaching Poirot, then Poirot's friend also comes on cruise. There are different people who are there to enjoy their holiday trip. This is what is happening. And eventually, this lady Jacqueline, she gets frustrated and she shoots at Simon, and then the next day morning, Lynette is found dead, and there is a series of murders that happens on that cruise, and Poirot was not prepared for this, and Poirot actually, in at the beginning only, he talks to Jacqueline and he says that don't open your heart to evil. Don't do this thing. They are married, let them be married, and don't open your heart to this evil. But she doesn't listen. And when all these murders happen, then at the end, this is the style of Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie. Then Poirot calls all the suspects together, and then he's clears the history of the mystery. So
Mystery.
like that.
Huh.
These are the points, and you those. So the husband, the Simon, is had actually killed Lynette. So you will have to read or you watch the series Poirot.
Yeah,
Then
read
you'll
about
see.
this. I haven't yet read about it, but I will. It sounds interesting.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Okay, so what theme does Agatha Christie often explore in her novels?
Generally, detective novels have the same theme. Why do we hire detectives even today? Because there is darkness. Okay, there is darkness in relationships. We want to figure out whether somebody is loyal, disloyal, whether somebody is cheating, not cheating, whether there is some kind of, whenever there is a possibility of some kind of deception. That is when we do that. Another thing is that it is also a social commentary. Sometimes the novels come out as social commentary of changing social orders, right? Because
Yeah,
Agatha Christie had lived through First World War and
and
Second World
second.
War as
Huh,
well.
right.
Yeah, so she has, lot of things, lot of elements in her novel that have been taken from that First World War and Second World War as well. For example, many of her characters use poison. Now, this poison, where did she study about poison? Because she had worked as
A
um,
chemist.
she had actually given her services in the hospital during
Huh, huh.
during the First and the Second World War. That is where she picked on this study of drugs and poisons. So that element is weaved in her stories and plots. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So
So
moving on to
coming,
the next question, Dhruv.
yeah, coming on to our next
Mhm.
question, what role does the settings play, what role does the setting play in her mystery? The overall setting of the story.
Um, Lord, setting is something you cannot do without in Agatha Christie's novels. As I said, that she has a narrative technique style, she has an omniscient narration, and there is something like, even in this Death on the Nile, there are settings like, a pillar falls off, and then when you see the Nile, she describes that how the cruise ship stands over there. What is the uh, you know like who was standing outside when the second murder happened, when the eyewitness murder happened. And setting is something that propels the whole situation of solving the murder mystery. That, there was a gun kept over there, there was a lady who was standing over there. And this setting also, this is very good. As I told you, that Poirot is has an Poirot is very astute. Okay, so when he investigates through inquiry. He gets all the suspects talking to him till they drop off their guards. So he'll make sure he plays with the psychology. Okay, that this is one of Agatha Christie's styles, that she weaves a lot of psychological study of the characters. So Poirot's style of inquiry is like that. That she keeps that sorry that he keeps inquiring all the suspects. You please tell me this. How was the room? How was the room? So one suspect, from his perspective, he will say the room looked like this. What were the other things? Could you please elaborate? So he is very inquisitive. He keeps asking and asking and asking till he bears all the threads of that particular question. Okay, so he pushes all the characters like that. So setting is very important in inquiry, to figuring out that, because there may be a little twist in the tale that may come about, just if a character says that, oh, I had heard the pin drop, and just next to the pin was this particular thing, something like that. You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Like, yeah, like that. So it plays a very important role. Yeah.
So coming
Next.
on to yeah, next question. Do you think her stories are still appealing to today's generation and today's readers?
Oh, yes, timeless, greed, jealousy, anger, deception, illusion. These
Yeah,
are timeless. So, so
agreed.
all, and but Agatha Christie has a style because she has experimented a lot with styles. And oh, I shouldn't be missing this point. Actually, all these works, since you are doing the project, so all her works are divided into early works, middle works, and the latest works. So when you would read, some works, some novels from her early works, the language also has changed because I'm very sure that she would have grown as a person out of experience, and she was a great traveler also, and also she assisted in many places in different roles and capacities, so that has also added to the language. So as her career progressed, even the language in her novel became
Yeah,
richer and deeper and deeper. So uh, this is a very gradual shift that you can see. So it has added a lot of richness to the plot and her um, and the whole design of her novels. Yeah.
Okay. So, how would you describe Christie's legacy in one simple sentence?
Christie's legacy is timeless, incorrigible, and definitely penetrating because it gets right into your head. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so as we move towards the end, one last
Yes,
question.
yes.
Finally, what message would you give to someone new to Agatha Christie's writing works?
So read Agatha Christie. So when you read Agatha Christie, you actually read brilliance, creativity, um, depth that is coupled with sophistication. So you will have to tickle your gray cells with Hercule Poirot, and you will need to figure out what is in uh, what is there in you that makes you happy and unhappy with Miss Marple. These are their styles.
Oh, okay, that was so informative. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your precious time. Really grateful
Thank
for
you
your.
very much. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much, and thank you,
thank you
both of
for
you, for
yeah,
being
Thank you,
such
ma'am.
a
thank you.
Today's interview was
good
really
girl.
Well deserved.
informative and very, how do I explain you?
Yeah,
I loved it. Like being a person who loves Arthur Conan Doyle's works, Agatha Christie's works, today was really very informative. Like I actually am new to Agatha Christie, so it was very wonderful.
That's okay. We are new to many of the things. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Once you discover more, you should watch this series, Poirot. There are many adaptations, but especially the series in which, Dhruv, you can also watch, in which David Suchet has played Poirot. The best series ever.
that
Oh,
David
I
Suchet.
see.
that's quite an old one.
He is an English actor, and he has worked so much on his pronunciation because Poirot's pronunciation
Hmm.
is Belgian. Yes, is Belgian. So he speaks with such an accent. So he worked on his accent a lot. So David Suchet's series in which he plays Poirot, that series you guys watch, you'll enjoy.
Sounds interesting, and I'll come back to you with it.
Right, right, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Dhruv.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you. Thank you, Saptaparna. See you guys.